Hey Frontline fans, welcome back to Comic Frontline and fans. You're back with me, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to talk about the season finale of The Walking Dead and a comparison between last night's or Sunday night's finale and the comic book in which this took place under. So this is a show versus comic comparison and which one I liked better overall. So last night's episode of The Walking Dead was a 90-minute season finale. And basically what happens is we get to see Rick and his group travel to the hilltop because Maggie is very sick with her pregnancy and they have to get there in the nick of time. They are playing a cat and mouse game with Negan's men, and in the end we wind up seeing Rick and the group winds up getting captured. Everyone gets on their knees. Negan makes his appearance for the very first time, and we get to see him smash somebody with his baseball bat with Lucille, but you don't get to see who that person is. You see it as a point of view perspective, which I thought in that aspect I thought was very well done, because you don't know who the killer is, but I don't think it was necessary for a cliffhanger. But I like how you were experiencing it as if you were on the knees and you had blood running down your face and your ears are ringing, and I love that aspect of the show. But I didn't agree with the cliffhanger part. Maybe it should have went to a commercial and we should have gotten the reveal at the end of the episode. I think that would have made for a fitting conclusion to the season, and then it would start off new with season, I think 7 or whatever we're on now. So nevertheless, what did I like better here? Did I like the comic or did I like the show? Well, let's go through the comic a little bit here. So in issue number 100, in case you guys have never read The Walking Dead, we wind up seeing that Rick and the group are yes, they are going to the hilltop. And the reason why they are traveling to the hilltop here is because they are bringing Maggie to the hilltop because of her pregnancy, but not because she's sick. She's electing to live there because they have better resources, they have more medicine, they have doctors, and so they're on their way there. So what happens is they can't get there in the amount of time that they would like. They can't get there before sunset, and so what happens is they're forced to take watch and whatnot, and Rick is sitting on a van and it's nighttime and he's getting lazy, and then the next thing you wind up seeing is you see Rick actually gets captured by the saviors here. And so this is what starts the real difference between the show and the comic at this point, as you got to see Rick and the group driving for 90 minutes or whatever it was before they got to Negan. Here the book actually just dives right into the action. And this is where the pacing of the book makes sense, where the pacing of the show was very slow, as we get to see the scenario happen over and over again. Now, when Rick and the group run into the saviors, they're a very menacing group. They got that creepy whistle, I can't whistle for shit. But anyway, in the comic, it's very menacing as well, as you get to see all of Negan's men here. And they all have their different weapons and whatnot, and they're all brought in, and you get to see the reveal for Negan for the very first time. And this is the way Negan looks like in the comics, in case you guys have never seen him before in the comics. Now, very similar. They did a very good job with Negan in the show. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was awesome. His dialogue was good. What he wore was good. Lucille looked good. It was all really well done in the show. And, Negan is a very charismatic character, and he did a wonderful job in the show. The only difference between the show and the comic book is Negan is very vulgar, and every word comes out of fuck is fuck. But the one thing that the show and the comic did exactly was the dialogue. Everything that came out of Negan's mouth was exactly the same, except there was minus a fuck here and there. So it's just like, it's for instance, like Negan says, oh, you got no fucking idea how fucking cool that is, but I imagine you'd be up to speed shortly. You're going to you fucking regret crossing me in a few minutes. Fuck yes, you will. So everything that he says was exactly to the show, and I thought that was really neat how they took that straight from the comic books, and even from the selection of how how he did eeny, meeny, miny, mo. That was really neat. The one thing that I thought that they left out that could have been a little bit more descriptive was how Negan, besides going eeny, meeny, miny, mo on selecting his characters, was how in the comic he was just like, oh, I can't touch you, you're a race card, and I can't select you because you're just this little girl and you've been through a lot of shit. He did that with a couple of people, but he didn't do that with everybody. And the one thing that he took straight from the comic was Carl's dialogue, and he goes, what's the story on this future serial killer? Shit, fuck, kid, lighten up, at least cry a little. So that was straight from the show, and I appreciated that. But once you get to see the selection, just like in the comic book, you get to see the punishment, and that selection in the comic, as we all know, is Glenn. Now it's still yet to be determined on who the person actually is in the show, and if you guys have any suggestions on any thoughts on who you think that is, please leave it in the comments below. But in the comic, it was actually Glenn, and we get to see this dramatic scene happen. And you don't see that in the comic. You might maybe see it in the season premiere on Negan's point of view, but you only see it, of course, in your perspective, and you don't know who it is, and you experience the hits and everything else. But what made this comic so dramatic, and what could have made the show even more dramatic, and made it very suspenseful, was to actually see the actual death on who it was. Maybe not the whole death itself, but you witness the point of view, and then you see the death on who it was, and then maybe end the show. But throughout the book, you wind up seeing the punishment happen to actual Glenn, how he gets punched in the head by Lucille, and he tries to speak, and same thing like in the show, he just is like, holy shit, he's taking it like a champ, and he tries to scream out Maggie's name, and he's in pain, and he just tortures Glenn there at the very end. He's just like, hey, you in there, buddy? He's just like, oh, it seems like you're trying to speak, but you took a hell of a hit, So he sees that, and then you just see the punishment continue as he whacks Glenn in the face, and he just punishes him until he's just beaten to death by Lucille. And basically, he rides off and he says, you owe me half your shit. He goes, until next time, ta-ta, and that's the end of the comic. So that's kind of your comparison there, and that's what I would have loved to seen in the show. If you were going to do the point of view perspective, I think that's kind of cool because you can only make things so graphic before it gets too hard to see. And the way they did it was pretty cool. And it would have been awesome if they went to a commercial and then the commercial came back, Negan is gone, and you see the dead body on the floor and you know who it is. I think that's what it would have made sense. It was kind of unnecessary cliffhanger because y'all know that someone was going to die. Why wait 6 months to see who it was that died? Because it kind of loses that impact here. So when it comes to that, that's where I didn't agree on, and the pacing was a little off. But that 10 or 15 minutes with Negan in it, it had my heart pumping. And I was just like, oh my God, he's here, and I was just like all excited, and to see what Negan was on the screen, that was awesome. But when you take away everything else out of the show, the thing with Carol and meeting some of the Kingdom's characters and just them driving around, it made it for a very slow episode, and it wasn't necessary for 90 minutes. So I would have thought this would have been better paced if it was 60 minutes, 15, 20 minutes dealing with Negan, and then the review on who the death was after a commercial break. And then you would want to watch, that next season to see where the story goes from there. Why hang on to the death? Why stall that out? There's no really need for that. So even though it makes for a good discussion and you want to see who, we want to discuss who it is, it's just, it's not going to be as impactful 6 months from now. But guys, in the comments below, tell me what you thought of the comic and the show in general. Which one you like better, the show or the comic? Who do you think died in the TV show? Do you still think it's Glenn? Do you think it's Daryl? Do you think it's Abraham? It's got to be someone that makes impact, not a character that doesn't mean anything. So, again, guys, leave me those comments below. And as always, thank you for watching Comic Frontline. And guys, until that next comic book review, this is Mike Spider Slayer signing off. Take care, guys. Bye.